Hello, this is part two of our series of helping people get into Bubble. If you're completely new, Bubble is a fantastic no-code tool that basically lets you build a web app you could build a rudimentary Twitter in like an afternoon. If you joined us yesterday, you would have seen me begin to design this app for my wife's business. It's a small business inventory tracker where she is able to track the inventory that she uses to create her products, and then she sells them on Etsy. So that's what I'm making. I should introduce myself. My name is Matt. I'm one of the co-founders of Planet No Code. We put out new videos every week to try and help people get into no-code tools. In particular, we're focusing on Bubble at the moment. And this live stream is going to be focused on Bubble and building a Bubble app. So I think I've got some notes. I think what I'm wanting to address is how to create a navigation for a one-page app, registration and login workflows. And then if there's time, I really want to work on graphs. So let's dive straight into it. Here is the app. This is what I created on the live stream yesterday. I'm being really purposeful about not skipping bits. Before we launched Planet No Code, I was doing Bubble coaching. I was running my own Bubble coaching business. And there were just things that I saw people doing as they were experimenting with Bubble. I've been using Bubble since 2017. So I like to think that I've picked up some tips and tricks and some best practices that kind of save you a load of headaches further down the line. I'm deliberately keeping in all of the small bits so that you can follow along step by step. But you're probably not building a small business inventory tracker, but I'm going to try and flag up as we go through the areas that you might want to replicate in your app that you're making. So let's begin with a one-page navigation. So I've got my left-hand sidebar here, and I'm just going to relabel this left, pop open the element tree so I can keep track of everything, and then set as a fixed height of 100 because I want it to fill the full width, or full height rather, of the screen. And then I've got the body of my page here, and this is, if I go on to preview, this is a list of the materials that I want to track, materials in, materials out. So I'm going to label this materials, and I'm going to set up an option set as a way of controlling my navigation. Option sets are really good if you have, like a known list of items that are going to be appearing throughout your app. So I'm just going to call this menu. And then on my menu, I'm probably going to have a dashboard, materials. What else could I have? Dashboard, materials. Okay, let's just put in settings for now, so we at least get 3. And then in my sidebar here, I'm going to place a repeating group, give it a little bit of padding. This is what I love about the new responsive engine, how easy it is to add padding and margins. So as I design, I like to think of it being designing with responsiveness in mind. So you'll see me setting a lot of max widths to 100%. That just means that if the container that's in shrinks, it always stays this, it always fills the space. And I'm just going to change the inside of the cells to a row. And then in order to access my option set, it's a type of content, and then all of menu. And let's put my text in here. And then we're going to have it display menu. And set this, you probably guessed it, 100% max width. And then because I know it's only going to be one line high, I want to kind of yeah, I'm gonna deliberately restrict that height. There we go. Then let's get rid of the line in the middle, but we want a uniform space between them. So I showed this trick in the last video. You can use margin on the elements within the repeating group cells, but it's much easier. I didn't mean 130. I meant 30. And then get rid of the color. And we number of rows, then remove the min size. Okay, so now I have a 30 pixel gap between each one. And if I go and refresh, there you go, I have my menu. In fact, I think it's going to look slightly better to have a larger margin on the top. So, one-page app. If I have my menu, I want something to take effect when the menu is clicked. How do I do that? I could use custom states. So custom states are a fantastic way of storing data quickly and retrieving it quickly because it's not written to the database. The disadvantage is that when you refresh the page, you lose the custom states that you saved on that page. So if I was to use my navigation as a custom state, that would then mean that every time the main page of my app was refreshed, it would go back to a default page. You might want that, but really, if it was to crash for whatever reason, or my user was to come back later on in the day, hit refresh, see if there's any changes, I want the app to be showing the same page as before. And so to do that, I'm going to set it to save to the user. Make changes to current user, and I'll just say menu. And that's going to be field type menu because I want to be able to access an option set there. And then, so it gives me a list of my option sets. I'm going to choose this sales menu because then this workflow, you want to build your apps lean and not create opportunities where you have to repeat yourself. And so if I was to, I've got 3 items in my menu, but I am servicing them with one workflow. Great, so if I was to click on one of those items in the live end, it would save it to user, but that's not going to change what is happening on the tabs over here. So let's, to illustrate this, if I duplicate this, I'm going to end up in them side by side. That's because I've got my page set up as a row. So I actually need to combine these into a column. Just so it's nice when you edit it, I'm going to put some spacing in there. And then, so that it's really clear what I'm doing, I'm going to add in a header. I think I just missed where that went. Here we go. And I have got a rough design that I'm copying off the side here. Just to make it a little bit different. I'm deliberately not overdoing on the styling because I think that could just take too long. And we've got videos on the channel about importing Figma, so you can have a search for that if that's what you want to do. So I'm going to call this dashboard and then set 100, a little bit spacing. There we go. And then I'm going to duplicate that and pasting it down to here and call this one materials. But some things to consider with a one-page app. It's really, if you're going down the route of wrapping it in mobile, and we will have a video in the future discussing mobile wrapping. All I will say is that it's a technique of building a bubble app into iOS in particular that if you read all the fine print from Apple, they really want to discourage you from doing. So I wouldn't say that that's a solid way to go about it. But if you want your app to appear like once it's loaded, then it kind of zips from section to section, then one-page app is the way to go. But your sacrifice there is that when the page initially loads, it's loading in more elements, so that can take more time. So there's materials, and there's dashboard. Okay, and then I could create a workflow to show and hide when these buttons are clicked, but I don't need to do that. I have an option set up, and all I need to do, again, we're making it lean, is say collapse when hidden. I'm even going to add an effect, and then say condition when current user menu is dashboard, say that it is visible. And then tell it not to be visible on page load. And I do the same here. So not visible on page load, collapse when hidden, animate, fade in and out. And then when's it going to be visible? It's going to be visible when current user menu is materials. Yeah. And did I tick it? No, okay, I missed it. There we go. So if I refresh my app, nothing's being shown. We'll come on to that in a moment. But if I was to click on dashboard, then my dashboard appears. If I click on materials, materials appears. Now there is a little bit of a jumpiness there, and I think that's because I've told it to animate it. If I take the animation out, there we go. It's completely smooth now. So when it loaded, nothing was shown. And that's going to happen each time a new user signs up, unless I do one of two things. Either I can assume that dashboard is going to be the view that they want loaded up to begin with. And so I could say when current user menu is dashboard, or current user menu is empty. And so that covers it that way. There's another way you could go about it. Would be in data user menu is dashboard. And so that's saying that when a user is created, that value is filled in automatically. So it's down to you to decide which way to go about that. This way, I would say, yeah, I like, yeah, you keep things simple, but also try and solve problems ahead of time. And so this way we're solving that problem when the user signs up. Now, this isn't going to cover all bases. If we already have users signed up and then say we built this dashboard separately. So in that case, maybe there's an argument to have both set up. So actually it's an or statement, or when current user menu is empty. And we can test that because we can go into our app data. No, we can't go into our app data. So here we're getting an example. I've tripped myself up with it, which is that when you are interacting with Bubble, even though this user is not logged in, I can do things to current user. I can save values. And so then if current user does register or log in, those values carry forward. But what it means is that I'm able to save my states, like is it materials or is it dashboard, or is it settings, and it'll show nothing, even though I'm not logged in, because it still recognizes me as a current user. It's like temporary, which then carries into a user if I was to act on a registration form or to log in. So there we go. We've got some navigation. Let's lead nicely on to registration. And I think registration more naturally does come as a separate page. So I'll say register. And let's just have it blank. Just going back to my design, so copying it roughly. Okay, so we're going to set our page to be a column, and then I'm going to throw in a group as a container. Actually, in fact, we'll do it as a... So the new responsive engine, I think, is fantastic. The temptation is to build as if you're using the old responsive engine, which is to basically build using fixed. I've not yet found a good solution for fixed because it effectively makes your apps unresponsive. So 90% of the time, I would recommend finding and getting adjusted to using row or column, if in particular circumstance, you might find that aligned to parent is the best option, and that's because I want to center it. I'm going to just copy from this page my background color, because that offers a little bit of contrast. That then means I can set this to white, give a nice bit of roundness, and then let's put some fields in to register. So the container layout, I want that to be a column, and then let's add in some padding. You can tell I love using a bit of padding. Then layout. And so this, we're going to have a bare basics registration form. This is going to be email, and it can't be empty. And then below it, we're going to have password. And we'll use this wonderful addition to the new responsive engine to add nice uniform. It gives you such clean designs, especially compared to the old editor. You'll see, as I mentioned earlier, everything's going into 100%. I want it to be responsive. I don't want things to get caught out with min widths, max widths. So in fact, if I was to be really true to that, I would set this to have a max width and then get rid of the min width. So this is register. And then let's get rid of that height value. Cool. And let's build our workflow. See, this is really quick. So it's an account one, and sign the user up. Email, just match up the fields. Okay, and then once our user's logged in, at the moment, nothing's going to happen. We could send them an email, but I just want to send them to my index page, which is my dashboard. So I add in the navigation step. Oh, that's the wrong page. Let's try that. Okay, so I can go for stat planetnocode.com, put password in, register, registers me, takes me through to my dashboard. Brilliant. Okay, let's do a login. So login, we can just duplicate our register page and update the workflow. So instead of sign up user, it is login user. Check out our YouTube channel, Planet No Code on YouTube. There are much more lengthy tutorials for doing forms, login, registration. I'm just trying to be really quick here. So just so I can fully demo this, on my dashboard, I'm going to add at the bottom of my navigation a button, like some text that says log out. And log the user out. And then I'm going to navigate to login. Okay, so log out, navigates to login. So test if I remember the password I came up with, and then login, we're testing that, and brings us back. Okay, so that is registration, login, graphs, and the navigation of the app. I think we should look at some charts now. So For charts, I am going to be using a plugin that I've used before. Just rename that. Get rid of this repeating group and that form. And plugins, and I'd say the default bubble charts here, they're usable, but the scope is really limited with what you can do with them. And they're the ones that I'm looking for. Might be those ones. Thin note, really beautiful plugins. If you ever watch this or hear that, really appreciate. Yes, your timeline chart, very nice. I think that is the plugin that I'm looking for. Okay, a word on plugins, in case you're interested. When you subscribe, it is pro rata. So I've not had to pay $8 right now. I will pay $8 within a full month of having used this plugin. If you buy a plugin, I've not actually done that, but I believe that you don't have to pay a subscription. You own it, but it's attached, like licensed to a specific app. You would need to buy a separate license if you wanted to use the same plugin in another app. And I'm just going to open up the plugin page because I am going to need to look at the documentation to get this working. Let's just look at the data. I'm going to clear out my data because now I'm operating as a logged in user. Otherwise things are going to get a bit confusing. Bear with me. Okay, let's just deal with one. We have cardstock. Okay, something's not working. Let's investigate that. I think it's because earlier on I duplicated it and I ended up over. When you just use a standard copy and paste, it doesn't copy workflows. That's exactly what I've done wrong. You have to use the copy with workflows tab up here, but that just means I can demonstrate here what I had. So I have data, create a new thing, materials, and then label equals input label, and then I want to reset it so that I can quickly enter more than one. Yeah, most of what you do, no, not most, that's unfair. You spend a lot of time on Bubble debugging what you've done, and that is fine. Okay, right, now I will just demo the other part of my app. So this is an app for my wife's business, enable her to track the inventory that she uses in the products that she creates and sells on Etsy. I will add one more material because it just illustrates it a little bit better. Okay, and what I have set up here is it's meant to be like a Stream Deck interface that she can have on her phone, and as she's making a product, she can quickly say, I've used a piece of card, or I've used an envelope. Okay, if you are interested in those little notifications, check out the stream from yesterday. They're using a plugin called Toasty to do that. But what I want to be able to do is let's have a think how I'm going to do this. Yeah, if I go back onto index, this is where my graph is. No, that's my container. Okay, dashboard. This is where my graph's going to go. And in order to illustrate the graph, I'm going to put in a repeating group because every single time one of these is clicked, it creates a new entry in the database. So this is going to be of type record. So do a search for record. Yeah, right the way up to the side, and just get rid of that. And I just want to be able to say in here that the record is of material, and then I'm going to put in brackets the value, which will be -1 in most cases. A piece of card has been used, so it's piece of card -1. Enter a row, get rid of the fixed height, just put 10 into that. Right. And then just make the width of this 100. I don't know why I'm refreshing that bit. There we go. Okay, so you can see the two entries that I just made. In fact, let's get them open on different tabs. So if I enter a car stock value and then there's something. Yes, okay. Something is not working as expected. Let's just have a look at my database. Records, used card stock value -1. Okay. What's not working? Let's try an envelope. Envelope -1. It's giving me a sum. What have I done here? Records, value. Current sales records value. That's very peculiar. So it's showing me the sum rather than height, stretch the content. Yeah, that's very odd. It shouldn't be showing me the sum. It should be showing me each individual record. So what's going on? Where's it getting that 2 from? Okay. I've just made a real idiot of myself. Dashboard. There we go. I was looking at the wrong screen. That's what I built yesterday. Here we go. Here's the dashboard showing the... What an idiot. There we go. -1 for card, envelope. -1 for envelope. In fact, yeah, it's the most recent ones are coming down at the bottom. So let's just sort that out by manual date descending. Okay, let's have a look at charts. So I'm going to have a look at his demos just so I can see the right chart that I want. I want to be able to display used by month. So I think a basic bar chart is going to do that for me. Yeah, let's keep it simple for now. Let's go for a bar chart. So bar chart. And let's see if this plug has been updated for the new responsive engine. Looks like it has. Yeah, more praise for this plugin builder. And then this is the process that I take, and it's not like a stupid way to approach it, but it is. You basically just have to look at the demo that the plugin developer has done and copy it, adapting it for your app. So I've not used this chart plugin for many, many months, and I can't remember how to do it. So I have a look at his page editor. and then scroll down to the bar chart. I think it's just because it's still loading. Here it comes. Where is it? There we go. This page is still loading. Oh, yeah, right, here we go. So the data series is going to be the categories. So now I swap back to the example. So on my x-axis, I have countries. I want to put months here. And then I have a count on the y-axis, grouped by count. Okay, so let's have a go. So series name is going to be month. And then series data is do a search for records grouped by add new grouping, manual date, group by month, interval, and then we'll say starting date. I think I just have to be consistent with this. So my 3 months ago. Cool. So accept, what do I need to, formatted. No, that's not going to let me do it. I need to get it to express. Each month's manual date. I've got a group by to cache that group. Okay, I'm not entirely sure. Has the guy got a illustration that uses dates? Okay, the tasks chart uses dates, the rest uses years, any of them using months. Maybe bitten off more than I can chew, and that this is something that I need to work out off a live stream. Group by manual date by month. I don't want to format as text. Unique elements? No. I need to format it as text. It's taking. I've grouped it together by month, and at the moment it's giving me. Let's try each manual date. No, what's it? What type of input? It wants a list of text. Make sure the same amount of data points. Group by manual date. I expect this is really riveting. And I can't work out what I have. Let's have a look at the bubble reference, bubble manual. I don't need to group it by date. I just need to find a way of expressing my data in a way that this plugin accepts, which is the challenge. Just have a look at this year one. So the x-axis, where is it getting its years from? It's just series cashew. Okay, each item's date formatted as, okay, let's try that. So annual date. Each item's annual date formatted as okay, yeah, I missed a step. Go back. Each item's manual date formatted like that, and then okay, here we go. I go custom month. No, series data. Have I got this the wrong way around? I think I have. Copy, paste. Yeah, got it the wrong way around. So series data, I have to, in order for this plugin to work, I have to select, basically have the same argument but displaying different text. So this is going to be grouped by manual date. Then I want to do a sum of value. Okay. Ooh, I'm excited. This worked. There we go. July, -6. Why is it -6? Because I have got -6 as a total here. Oh, brilliant. Okay, and just to check that has worked, I've set up manual date. I explained in the last video, if you want to manipulate the date of an item, you get your created and your modified date, but they're like, well, created date can't be changed. Modified is changed whether you like it or not when you modify an item. But if you want to go back and maybe stipulate a specific date, then you have to create another date field. So I have got a date field here called manual date, and let's move this back into June. And let's move one back into May. There we go. That's worked. So I now have a chart showing the usage of each item of material by month, which I'm actually quite pleased with. What's over here? Okay, I can download it. So how do I make this more useful? I think I would need to, at the moment it's showing all envelopes, all cardstock, and I want to split it. So I want my chart to be able to show only one of those at a time. So let's work out how to do that. I'm probably going to do that with a drop down. Let's put these in a row. Take this off 100%, set it to width of content, remove the 100 previous, add my row spacing in there, get rid of the min height it created when I group them together. Let's give this a nice 50. So this drop down is going to allow me to select a material. Say filter by material, and so it's going to be of material, do a search for materials, and then my label is going to be my label value, and I just have to update the, if I go on to, it's taking a little bit of time, search for record. So my records have got a material field, and I'm going to say equals drop down by value, and then ignore empty, because I still want it to show everything even if I've not got anything specific selected, and I just need to do the same on here in order for the data to always kind of be matched up correctly. Material equals drop down value, ignore constraints. Right, I'm a little bit nervous if this will work or not. Gone slightly into unknown territory by live demoing a plugin that I'm not 100% familiar with. So let's try. Okay, so at the moment, all of these values should add up to 6 because all of the minus 6 because all of those values add up to minus 6. But if I just go onto cardstock, then -1, -2 should be 3. Yep, that's worked. And then actually, I should get the same if I go into envelopes. Yeah, brilliant. Oh, cool. I'm really pleased that's worked. So to make this, I've kind of been demoing some principles. To make this really helpful as a small business inventory tracker, I need to have a way of loading in, as well as creating materials, adding materials that have been purchased. So let's go ahead and on our materials tab, we'll hide dashboard for now. We'll call this all materials. And probably, actually, let's go, we're going to go for another tab, I think. Yes, let's go for another tab, and we'll call that log. So I am using an option set as my menu, and I found that to be a really useful thing to do. Then if I go back into to design, then duplicate materials. This is the one I'm going to edit. So this is now going to be log. And when current user menu is log, that's what happens when someone clicks on one of the menu items here. And then actually in log, I'm going to copy the table here. My log, I want it to display every in and out action when materials are added, when materials are taken out. And that's what this repeating group here does. Let's hide my list of materials. And I'm going to leave that in because I'm going to reuse that group. A bit of space in below. Okay, so this is going to say, like, what happens if 400 pieces of cards are purchased? I want that to be registered into the system. So let's change this input to a integer. I'm going to get rid of the min width, and we're going to have a drop down. What height am I operating with here? 54. Cool. There we go. Okay, this doesn't need to be anywhere near that long. A bit bigger than that. And then let's have everything lined up on the left. So this is going to list my materials. So search all my materials and get my label. This is going to be say quantity. I spell that right. And I don't want it to be empty. And I don't want that one to be empty. Cool. So yeah, and then let's go create. So this is going to create a entry in the database of type record, because that's how I'm keeping track of all the ins and outs. And it's going to be material. Refer to the drop down. Okay, it's a little bit confusing. Let's label stuff. And then the value I'm going to say is the quantity field. Cool. And then let's reset my inputs and refresh. Okay, so now I can go on to log, and let's say cardstock. I think I ticked the wrong one there. I ticked disabled rather than not empty. There we go. Made that mistake before. So let's say 400. Okay. Let's invert this table. Manual date descending. Okay, it came in the bottom because I've not set a manual date. That's why. Equals current date. And just so that it doesn't mess up my charts, I'm going to go back and delete that record. And I need to give it of type, because I want to be able to filter this like in a really fine way. Purchased. Cool. Right, let's try that now that I've debugged some silly mistakes I made. Okay, there we go, 400 goes in. Now I wonder what impact that has on the chart. Okay, so it blows it massively, a completely different scale. So I now have a little bit of a challenge, which is that actually I want my chart to show how much of each item is used, and I don't want it to be impacted by the purchase. So one way I can go about that is to say, if I go into my chart, search for records where type is not equal to purchased. And I'll have to update it here as well. I'm then going to face an interesting issue to overcome with minus numbers. So my chart has now gone back to only showing the amount of each material that has been consumed that month based on the data here. But I don't want it to be minus. It just doesn't quite look right to me. So I'm going to either have to multiply by -1 or create another field. Let's have a look at how I can go about that. So it's the sum of all values. Can I add something onto the end of it? It's a list, so I have to apply something to each member of the list. No. Okay, so the way I'm going to go about this is to use a database trigger. And to access database triggers, I have to be in using a pay plan and then enable backend workflows. And then I get this option down here. And so my database trigger is going to be, this is just a way that I can manipulate data. So what I'm wanting is that when a value of -1 is stored, I'm also wanting to store the value of +1. And I might be able to find a way of doing that on the chart, but because I can get from -1 to +1 by timesing -1 by -1. But that's then doing an additional bit of computation on the front end, which is going to maybe have an effect on performance. So I want the database entry to have the positive number equivalent. And the way I could do this is by creating a trigger, convert negative value to positive. And so then this is going to be of type record. And I'm just going to say when before is empty. And so this will fire when the record is created. And the reason I'm building it in here is I could add this when I create a record on my Stream Deck interface. But by making it a database trigger, I'm covering myself for the eventuality that I will have other places in the app that I want to add in records. And by putting it as a backend workflow as a database trigger, I just know that that's going to happen whenever a record is created. And so it is going to be make changes to a thing. And it will be the record now, because that's the record once it's being created. And I wish I had on the tip of my tongue the proper mathematical term. Maybe someone could put that in the chat, of converting a minus number to a positive. But I'm just going to say, call it value P for value positive. And so value P is going to equal record now value times -1. Okay. This will only happen when a record is created. I have existing records. What am I going to do about those? I'm just going to create a button that will do it, go through the database and make that update for me in one swoop. So login. So this is only going to be temporary. I'll just say it's not going to be very clear. Minus to positive, and then data, make changes to a list of things, records, do a search for records. I just want all records. And then when value equals this record's value times -1. And if my old school maths is any good, I think that's going to do the trick. Now we'll go back to my dashboard and then update. In fact, I'm going to check it's worked in data first of all. There we go. So yeah, back on my dashboard, I'm just going to change the output. So that's date. Sum. Okay, I've got it. I'll change my group by. Group by. There we go. Hopefully, all working. This will invert the negative to the positive on that chart. There we go. Must admit, I'm slightly relieved that has worked. So now this is showing each month how much I've used in total. And then if I filter by material, it will show me how much of that material I have used. I've not got much more time, so I'm just going to have a play with this plugin, Sparkline. Let's just turn that on. See what that does. What else can we do? We can add in other colors, and they will download toolbar. No, I don't want that. Is a Sparkline an average line? And somehow I've turned off the y-axis. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. I'm going to have a proper play with this plugin when I'm not live streaming. Okay, cool. So let me just give you an overview, as I've seen some people have joined us in the last few moments. This is an app for my wife's business. She sells on Etsy. She produces products made of multiple materials such as cards, envelopes, all go into her final product, and she wants to keep track of her inventory. And she wants to be able to do that. At the moment, she uses a numbers spreadsheet on her Mac to do that. And she does it at the end of the day, putting in all the values, keeping tally of it. But she wants a way of on her phone, and this is why this has got a rather odd interface, because imagine this shrunk down onto a mobile device. But let me just get rid of that. Our logo is in. Move that down for now. On a mobile device, she can click cardstock, and so it acknowledges that one item of cardstock has been used. Envelope, an envelope has been used. Let's go again. Another envelope has been used. This feeds in to our chart. Give that a refresh. Okay, and so we can see cardstock's been used and envelope has been used, and then it will show you across each month how much of that resource, that material, has been used. I've got my materials here showing my total, and I've got my log showing materials in and materials out. I've also, earlier on in the stream, created a login page, very simple, and then basically exactly the same for registration. Thank you for everyone who's joined. I am going to wrap up there. This is a little bit of an experiment. I will be tomorrow continuing the development of this app. The whole point of this is that on our YouTube channel, Planet No Code, we have got loads of bite-sized videos for getting into Bubble. Some of them are real beginners. Some of them are kind of tricks and workarounds that I have discovered over my 5 or so years of working with Bubble. But this is a series where I kind of don't cut out what maybe are bits that are a little bit boring, because I'm purposefully demonstrating all of the steps required to demonstrate an app, which at the end I'm going to hand off to my wife, and she's going to be using day to day with her business. So if you are a beginner in Bubble, or if you're not, if you're just getting into no code, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel, because we put out videos every single week. This week we're mainly focusing on live streams, but you can check back in our catalog and you can see all of the videos that we've made so far, because we're wanting to become the #1 resource for Bubble education, and we're approaching that in a very bite-sized and kind of welcoming, invitational beginners way. So thanks for everyone who's joined, and look out on social media for when I'll be continuing this build. Nothing will be missed out. I'm not going to tinker with it in the meantime. Everything is on show of how to build this inventory tracker app, and hope to see you all again soon.